Hello, welcome to Beach View, our podcast about all sorts of things and stuff.
And today, we're doing a movie, a recently released movie, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Kind of fitting for our podcast, seeing as we've talked about, detective fiction and mysteries and stuff like that several times before.
Absolutely, and I always love an Agatha Christie-esque movie, so this was one of those types.
Yeah. Which actually, I meant to bring this up when we watched Crooked House. I'm pretty sure Knives Out's very, based on that, on Crooked House.
Yeah.
Which is the prequel to this movie.
Absolutely. Yeah, I need to go watch Crooked House again.
And the first Knives Out again.
Yeah, exactly. Been a while.
Yeah, what'd you think of the movie? General thoughts at the top?
So I liked it. I didn't know, going into it, I didn't know if I would like it because it did seem like it had a lot of different celebrities in it. And usually, when a movie, I don't know if you'd consider this like an ensemble cast, but...
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, because some of them are lesser known, but...
There is a lot of star power in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of star power. So I just kind of thought, I don't know why, but typically those movies just end up kind of falling flat. But I think it helped that, I didn't know anything about what this movie's, basis was when I watched it. So that was good because it was just kind of like a fresh, I knew it would be like some kind of mystery type thing, but I didn't have any idea about what exactly it would be about. So I thought it was good. I liked it. What about you?
Yeah, I liked it. This, like the last one's, less of a mystery and more of, a love letter to the mystery genre.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much about, solving the mystery in that process as it is, going through the motions of that as a fan of the genre, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we talked about Death on the Nile, and it had kind of a similar, I guess, kind of just a similar feel, but I feel like it was also different because, like you said, this was more of a, stuff was happening. It wasn't one big thing that they were trying to solve. It was kind of more multiple things that they were trying to solve, right?
Yeah, and it, the last one, Knives Out, opens, by giving away the murder.
Right.
Basically. And this one's, there's not even, a mystery at first. You're just kind of,
yeah.
What's happening here?
Yeah.
Well, there's not, a mystery at first.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sort of a more regular plot, and then the mystery happens, but then there's a twist, and it's less of a, you look at a lot of mystery, and there's, the setup, we start with the crime, the murder, usually, and then, move into, and putting pieces into place, setting everything up, and, you're trying to figure out, who did it and why.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is not that as much.
Yeah, I feel like and it was a longer movie at about 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I think a lot of the first part was setup.
Yeah.
But as you know, in mystery movies, a lot of the setup kind of plays into clues at the end. And I think that, when you're first watching it, you don't really get that. But then, when you're getting to the end, you're like, oh, okay, this was kind of setting up the character more, I feel like. Setting up all the characters and kind of, you had the stereotypical, dumb blonde, you have the crazy millionaire guy who everybody says is a genius, but is he really a genius? So it kind of sets up everybody's characters, but it kind of, it takes a little while before it gets into what actually happened.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this film alright, but I think I like the previous movie better. The original Knives Out.
Yeah.
Just because I don't tend to like this kind of sequel. This is take the same basic premise, but make it bigger.
Yeah.
Both Knives Out films are about, a group of people, hangers-on to, a rich person.
Mm-hmm.
And, whereas, Knives Out's about, a, moderately rich, has a mansion level. This is, billionaire private island level, and, the set matches that, and it's, just a whole bigger affair, and I don't tend to like sequels like that.
Yeah.
But I still think it was mostly decent, and it's a very funny movie too. Like the comedy worked for me.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like it was a different, just a whole different vibe to this movie. I did like it, even though, like you're saying, it's a different cast of characters, and these are kind of like the characters are like way out there kind of characters. So yeah, but also I think there's definitely some comparisons you can make to like real people, like celebrities though, not like, like you said, a relatively rich person. So it just depends on what you like, I think. But this was definitely more outlandish.
Yeah. So you want to get into the plot summary?
Yeah, please, let's go through it.
All right. So movie opens with a bunch of characters opening some sort of weird puzzle box. Has a bunch of puzzles in it. And inside's an invitation, so it is Miles Braun, who's a billionaire, owns a private island, and he's inviting all of his friends, his inner circle, over to his private island for the yearly get-together they have, and he's doing a murder mystery this time. And that involves, let's see, I'm going to try to remember this in the order of appearance. Claire DeBella, who is a politician, current governor of Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Lionel Toussaint, who's the head scientist for one of his companies. Who was next? I don't remember.
Birdie, maybe?
Yeah, Birdie J, who is a former, superstar celebrity model, kind of washed up and perpetually controversial. And then Duke Cody, who's a former esports player, current streamer, as well as Birdie's assistant and Duke's girlfriend. Both of those, that's our party that's getting involved in this. And then we see two more characters, who is Cassandra Brand, we don't know that at the time. We just see someone smashing open a box.
Mm-hmm.
And then Benoit Blanc, the detective from the first Knives Out movie, and this one, which is Daniel Craig with a weird southern accent. Yeah, so all these people get together. They're going on the trip to the private island. And they get to the private island. We have some, character introductions and, establishing, these characters and their interactions. Everybody's kind of, weird that Cassandra Brand is there because she was Miles' former business partner, who he cut out of the business, and they took his side over hers.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's some bad blood there, and, what's happening there. They get to the island, and there's this whole, sequence of Benoit Blanc snooping around, trying to, piece together what's happening, and Miles is having, his weird get-together, and he's gonna have his murder mystery thing. We find out that Benoit Blanc's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, that he wasn't actually invited by Miles.
Yeah. Which comes up later. But yeah, so there's, multiple interactions between the characters, kind of set dressing. At this point, you're not sure what's happening here, because this is ostensibly a mystery, but, there's no mystery yet. Presumably something's going to go down with Cassandra Brand, who's mad at everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a few, blow-ups to that effect. They finally get to, the dinner, where they do the, murder mystery. Benoit Blanc solves it immediately.
Yeah, and you're like, what? Why did he just solve the whole thing? Yeah.
Yeah, and so him and Miles Braun go for a conversation, and Blanc tells him, you should be careful for real. They might try to murder you. So you think, okay, that's going to be the, mystery here, is that one of them, all of them have reasons why they could be mad at Miles. And one of them's gonna, turn on him and kill him, and that's gonna be the mystery.
Yeah, and I would just like to jump in here. So as we're going along, we see that Miles is kind of like a puppet master to all of these people in his inner circle that he calls the disruptors. Okay, so on one of the blow-ups that Cassandra Brand has, she says, we all know why we're all here, and she says exactly what each of them is getting from Miles. So he's basically using his money to influence everybody, and that's why they're all still together. And you can see that everybody kind of begrudges him because he's controlling them in a way.
Yeah.
But they're stuck with him because they need his money for stuff. Or they need his influence for stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it.
So that's the motives that everyone could have. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lingering plot where he's like really sold on this new type of fuel, but it has problems, and the like his scientist is like opposed to it, but he's like dead set on going forward with it. So there's tension there. And so once that conversation ends, they go in and have like a lame party because everybody's like deflated by it. They're all mad at each other.
Yeah.
Cassandra comes in for another blow up and then moves off. And then at some point, Duke falls over, like apparently choking, and he dies. So like that is there's your murder.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you're thinking it's gonna be Miles who's murdered because it's his murder mystery party.
Yeah, and it was his drink. So
right.
like he's like, you know, Duke was drinking out of Miles' drink because he did a thing where he gave everybody their favorite drinks and had a cup with their name on it.
Mm-hmm.
He was drinking out of the one labeled Miles, so, like, you know, you think, oh, someone tried to kill him.
Yeah, and Duke inadvertently got killed in the process.
Yeah, and so then the power cuts out and everybody's running around, and someone comes out yelling that it was Cassandra who did it. And then Cassandra gets shot, and so you think, oh, what's happening now? And then Benoit Blanc brings everybody in, and he starts having a conversation. But then we have a twist. We cut back to the scene, the original scene, where Benoit Blanc gets invited. The original scene is him, like, in the bath, because this takes place during COVID, and he's like, you know, I really need a mystery to solve, because everybody's in lockdown. And the first time it plays, it just has someone knocking on his door with a box, and you think, oh, he got invited by Miles too.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's revealed that he was brought the smashed up box from, not Cassandra Brand, but her twin sister, Helen Brand. Which is such a...
identical twin.
Yeah, it's such a goofy plot twist, but the way it pulls it off, you know...
I love it.
Like,
you know, I love a good twin
mystery.
Twin impersonations are my jam.
Yeah, but that is like the, like, you know, the quintessential soap opera plot is that there's an identical twin that nobody knows about.
And that's also like a quintessential like mystery plot that there's always like, oh, it could have been her identical twin, you know, like just totally random stuff you would never think of.
Right. But she reveals that Cassandra has died in an apparent suicide. But she doesn't think it's a suicide. She thinks one of Miles' inner circle did it, and Miles comes up with a plan to get them both on the island so they can try to find out, you know, who did it. So now we have our actual, like, second murder mystery here, and, you know, then it goes through there from the beginning. Helen has Cassandra's whole, like, diary, so she knows everything that happened up to this point. Like, Cassandra walked away from the company because of that new fuel source that she didn't think it was worth it.
Yeah.
But he did, and then he screwed her out of the company, and all the friends like agreed with it, and she's mad about that.
Yeah, all of her friends turned her back. And so during this process, Helen, who is acting as Cassandra, is trying to figure out who would have killed her sister. And she's doing kind of like a clue, you know, like ruling people out or seeing if they have motives and opportunity, and which I think is really funny. That's part of the comedy of it. Like Benoit, you know, the detective, is like, oh, Clue's such a terrible game, like, you know, it's like a mystery game, you know, so it's part of the like comedy of it. Anyway, so that I like how they put this like comedic stuff into it too.
Yeah, definitely a comedy. And initially Benoit rules out Miles because he says, you know, he wouldn't be stupid and do it himself when he has people that would be willing to do it for him, because they all stand. The impetus for this was that the trial, they ended up suing each other over the rights to the company. The trial ended up hinging on the original napkin that was like the business plan for their business. And Miles claimed he made it. Cassandra claimed she made it, so it was her bit. It's like whose business it was. They all took his side. She later finds the original napkin and takes a picture of it and sends it to them as sort of a I'm gonna blow up your life sort of deal.
Yeah. So everyone could have had motive to stop her.
Yes, yeah. Because, they are all tied to him, and if he goes down, they all go down too. And so, yeah, they go through the thing again, and it reveals, what's really happening during all these scenes, and what, Helen was up to during some of these scenes. And we get to the point where, Duke dies and the power goes out, and then she gets shot, and it turns out she didn't actually die. She got saved by,
her sister's journal
in her coat pocket, which is, again, another, goofy trope, but it works here.
Yeah, because you're like, how did a journal stop a bullet? But okay.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
That's a very, typical and goofy trope of, you get saved by something plot-relevant blocking the bullet.
Right.
And, so he goes in to, give his explanation like we saw before, but he tells her, okay, I'm gonna buy some time, go find the original, because they're looking for who has the original letter. One of them has got to have it, and that would prove
the envelope with the
was.
Napkin, because it was taken from her house, yeah.
Yes. And so they do that, and then he's going, Benoit Blanc's going through, and he finds out, it was actually Miles Braun who did it the whole time.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, and because initially he was thinking, there's no way he would be stupid enough to do it himself, to get his own hands dirty, and he, goes through the story and realizes, no, he did actually do it. He also killed Duke, and tried to, pin it off as someone trying to kill him, and, he shot Cassandra, or who he thought was Cassandra.
Right.
Because he's trying to get away with it, and, the reason he killed Duke is because, they all went to her house after she sent, the picture of the napkin, and she wasn't there, because Miles got there first and killed her, and Duke met him on the road, so he realizes that, he was here beforehand, and once the news broke that, she died, he tried to extort, Miles, brought him over to show him something on the phone and be like, hey, give me what I want. So he killed him because he's allergic to pineapples, and he poured pineapple juice in his drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then from there, everything works out, but they're a bit, not careful enough with the evidence, and Miles burns it.
Burns
he
the
has
napkin,
a lighter with him. Also, the Mona Lisa, the actual Mona Lisa's here. That's a plot thing. They got it on loan.
Yes, that's a plot thing. Yeah,
and
he
disabled
said
the security.
With the pandemic, yeah. He said with the pandemic that the Louvre loaned out the Mona Lisa to very high paying.
Yeah, because they needed money.
Yeah, so the Louvre loaned out the Mona Lisa because they needed extra money. And so he has the Mona Lisa, and it's just so pretentious. And his little bit from the get-go when they first met the friend group is that, they show that he said, I want my name to be associated with the Mona Lisa forever.
Yeah.
And they're like, what does that even mean? Anyway. And so, okay, go on. So the Mona Lisa's there.
Yes. But yeah, so the thing burns, and so, Benoit Blanc's I can only do so much. I gave you the truth. I can't do anything else because it looks like he's going to get away with it now. That, they don't have
the evidence
any more evidence.
Yeah, the evidence is burned, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he goes on a whole tirade about him being a dumbass.
Yeah, that was my favorite part where he's like, this guy, this billionaire is not a genius. He's an idiot. And he goes through the whole thing about how his whole plot was just other people's idea. Even the whole murder mystery was,
he hired someone to do
idea.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, a famous author to do that. Everything he does is just built in, pretentiousness, and he's trying to show that he's this awesome mysterious person, but he really has no original ideas.
Yeah. And that it was basically Cassandra's doing that he, was able to get where he was. Yeah, and so then we have this whole sequence where he leaves, and Helen decides she's just gonna break all the glassware he has. He has all these glass sculptures that are Sure, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the gang kind of gets along with it, because...
They all hate him.
Yeah, they're all, like, upset at this point. I mean, they already had tensions with him, but, now that he's killed another one of their friends, and he's, like, done all this stuff, and then, there's this whole long sequence. Then she starts a fire, and because his house is being powered by this new fuel, the fatal flaw of which is that it, like, is that hydrogen gas that it puts everywhere?
Yes.
And, like, causes everything to go up in flames once the, fire starts. And then, because he disabled the security to the Mona Lisa, there's a whole slow motion sequence where they run at the, like, button he has to do the security.
The override security button, yeah.
And it lights the Mona Lisa on fire. And they all go out, and the ending's them sitting outside as the boats head in. There's like, yeah, his stupid fuel project just destroyed the Mona Lisa. So, his whole thing's over now.
He has a little tirade where he's like, did you get what you wanted? Blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, you solved nothing. Like, anyway, all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, I got what I wanted. Your whole new hydrogen fuel project went up in flames with the Mona Lisa. So you actually got what you wanted for your name to be associated with the Mona Lisa forever. So basically what she's saying is not only is your huge project that you like bet the whole company on and, crossed her sister for, that's up in flames, literally, as well as the original Mona Lisa. So you're done.
Yeah.
And then he like realizes, what happened. And at the end, they show Benoit and Helen sit by the beach, like waiting for the boats to come in because they're on this like secluded island in Greece.
With Daryl, who's a gag character who's been hanging around in the
Daryl.
background.
Yeah, let's not forget Daryl. Daryl's a gag character that has nothing to do with anything.
He's there for jokes.
Yeah. So they're talking at the end, and the very last scene is Helen sitting there with a Mona Lisa smile. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah,
Did I miss anything at the end?
I don't think we missed anything important, but yeah, that's the film. Yeah, I liked the comedy, like I said, Daryl, who's just like a guy who's like technically not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And he keeps showing up anyways, like a really basic gag, but I think it's funny every time still.
I don't know why those like very like obvious gag things, they're just funny because you're like, why?
Yeah.
But so yeah, Daryl was funny. What I really enjoyed was that like obviously this character Miles is like kind of like an Elon Musk kind of character. And I just think it's so funny because a lot of people think like, oh, Elon Musk is this genius. And then a lot of people think, no, he's really an idiot, So anyway, it was supposed to kind of parallel that. And so I thought that was a funny, like kind of comedic thing too, that, it, kind of parallels real life. And I always just think it's hilarious in a film when there's a character that's like super pretentious and, thinks he's better than everyone and thinks he's pulling all the strings. Like for somebody to say like, no, like, can't y'all see? Like this guy's an idiot. Like he has no original thoughts. Like he just steals stuff from everybody else, ideas from everybody else. And he doesn't give any thought into like the processes and like all this stuff. But y'all are being controlled by him because of the money and influence, so
he's an emperor with no clothes.
Exactly. And that was kind of like a all these influencers and stuff out there. It's just, in real life it's kind of like just saying like, look at what you're doing, but so that was really funny. There was a bunch of little funny things in here.
Yeah, I like anytime Benoit Blanc's like turning up his southernisms.
Yes, he always has some kind of southern saying or something.
Yeah.
But what I don't understand is why his name is Blanc and not Blanc. Like they all like he says that bothered me the whole movie. It bothered me the last movie. Like he's got this obviously French name and it should be pronounced Blanc, right? Like instead it's Benoit Blanc. So you're pronouncing Benoit with a French accent, but not the other one? Like, I don't get that.
It kind of has a French accent.
Blanc, but I'm just like, yeah. I guess otherwise you would say blank,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm just like, why isn't it Blanc? Like the last name LeBlanc is spelled the same way with just an
I don't know. That might be intentional, just as sort of like a, I don't know.
Yeah.
Americanized sort of pronunciation.
But why Benoit? I mean, like, I'm just like, you have an obviously French name, like, pronounce it. Like, I don't know why that I guess because I live in a place where we have a lot of French. I mean, and I know there are some people here also, like, like I said, we have a lot of French names here. You might have, like, someone who says their last name is Richard, but the French, like, the Cajun way, I guess I should say that we say it is Richard, right? So, like, that's an example. So, but to me, Blanc is always Blanc. Like, I don't know. Anyway, that's my tirade of the movie right there. It's just his name aggravates me. But other than that, he has all these Southernisms, like you said, which are very funny.
And he's like deliberately turning it up. That's like a reveal that he's trying to like act more like kind of folksy than he is normally.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I think that's funny about his character as well. And I also wanted to note, like, all of the, like, cameos that were in the movie. So, at the beginning, when Benoit is in the bath, like, he's on... What was he playing?
Among Us.
Yes, Among Us,
which,
that's right.
Actually, someone found out that, based on when this film is set, Among Us didn't become popular until a few months afterward.
Oh, really?
Minor continuity error, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't realize that. Yeah, so he's playing Among Us and he's got this like video chat up and it's got like a bunch of different celebrities. So as you said, Angela Lansbury. Who else was it?
Angela Lansbury, Stephen Sondheim, Natasha Lyonne, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, so they're all like, and it's just like little cameos because they're all just on this like group chat. And then Ethan Hawke is the guy who, like, when they show up at the boat dock to depart to the island, he, like, shoots this, like, some kind of, like, high-techy thing into their mouth so that they're...
I have no idea what that was or what that was even meant to be. I thought that was going to come up later, and it didn't.
No, it's some COVID thing. Like, it's, like, they said, you can take your mask off, you're protected now. So, whatever that was that he shot, that was Ethan Hawke. Who else was in there?
Serena Williams has a brief cameo.
Yeah, Serena Williams. There's a bunch of what's his name? The wolf guy. What's his name? Hugh Jackman. I always want to say Jack Human. Hugh Jackman.
He came up?
Yeah, he answered the door. Wasn't that him? He answered the door when Miles was in the bath.
No, that's not Hugh Jackman.
Are you sure?
That's Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. I'm sorry, Hugh Grant, not Hugh Jackman. I cannot look. Okay, Hugh Grant is who it was.
Yes.
My bad. These Hughes, I just get them mixed up all the time.
Yeah, and Jared Leto and Jeremy Renner have a kombucha and hot sauce that come up as plot points.
Yes. I think that's really funny. And then Yo-Yo Ma, did you notice that?
I did not, no.
Okay, so whenever Bernie, the character played by Kate Hudson, when she's trying to do this puzzle, she has this this little party and she's like, it's okay, they're in my pod, because remember it's during
right
2020. Yeah, and so at one part the mystery box that has the invitation in it is playing music. And it's got all these little puzzles they have to figure out. So the mystery box is playing music. And she's like, Alexa, Shazam this song. And of course, like, it's not Shazamming the song. And so this guy comes up and he's like, oh, that's blah, 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 whatever, Bach, whatever song. And that is Yo-Yo Ma, who is like a world-renowned cellist.
Yeah.
So that's really funny that for one, she would have like Yo-Yo Ma at her party. And for two, that that's actually him, doing cameos. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, so anyway, that was funny. And who else was in it? Was that it? Did we get everybody?
That's probably it. I don't know.
And also worth noting, like, there's so many references in this movie, but like you said, like the Jared Leto, and at one point, and they mentioned it a couple times because the character,
that's a plot point. Helen is drinking it, thinking it's non-alcoholic, but it's alcoholic
hard
kombucha for some reason, and she's getting drunk.
Which is hilarious because, like, kombucha is supposed to be this, like, health drink that's good for your digestion, and they added, like, alcohol to it, which defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm gonna kill Jared Leto, whatever, you know, so anyway, that's a funny point. But also worth noting, like, Glass Onion is the name of a Beatles song, which played during the credits. So that was kind of interesting, like, plot point. But I just like all the references to, like, real life stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I just thought that was funny. So, yeah, what else?
I really liked the scene where Benoit solves the like fake murder mystery.
Yeah.
Because he opens up with like, what do you get if you win? Do you get an iPad or something? And Miles just kind of looks at him like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, I thought, you know, it's like deliberately awkward, and then he just like immediately solves it, and it like really upsets Miles because they had planned for this to be like a whole weekend event.
Yeah, and I really love because the fact that Miles is trying to like mess with all of them and control all of them, it's turned around that Benoit is the one like messing with Miles.
Yeah.
So I think that's really funny. And also that's another reference, like we find out that Miles had Gillian Flynn, who is, you know, a famous author who writes kind of like thriller novels, actually write or like come up with the plot for the mystery dinner. So that was another way that he wasn't original. Like he's like, I paid a lot of money for this. So everything is him throwing around his money.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another little reference there.
I will say though, like a criticism I had of this movie was like the ending, the like glass smashing and like lighting on fire, like that was gratuitous to me. It just went on for too long, and then this like slow motion sequence. I felt like, okay, yeah, we get it. You don't have to make it go on for this long.
I thought the same, yes.
Yeah, and then, like, all the subtlety goes out, like, the room, like, at that ending, because it just, like, explains everything. There are, like, multiple points to reiterate, like, they leave nothing to the imagination. There's a line about the Hindenburg earlier that gets reiterated to, like, you know, right as the stuff's getting lit on fire to be like, hey, this is, you remember that thing from earlier? This is what's wrong with the, like, fuel source. When Benoit leaves the room, he says, take a reminder of why, you know, your sister left in the first place, which is a reference to the fuel source that, like, they reiterate again. When the Mona Lisa burns and they're all outside, you know, like, you can pretty well intuit that he's kind of screwed now because his fuel source went up and blew up the most famous painting in the world. And they have to, like, spell that out.
They spell it out, yeah.
And I just felt like, you know, that it's a bit much. You could have left it a little bit less of a touch there, but
well, and you know. The other part is at the end, all the characters are like, you know what? I did see Andy write on that napkin, and another one said, yeah, and I saw Miles take Duke's gun, and another one says, yeah, and I saw you hand that drink to Miles, you know, whatever. So they're all like turning against Miles, and you're like, okay, yeah, but too little too late. Like, you know, y'all are the ones who like were willing to lie and have your friend essentially killed because of your lies.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna like go on the right side, you know? So
well, they're also screwed over more or less, so
yeah, they are, but it's just it's kind of like, okay, too little too late. Like I just was shocked at not shocked, but I was just like surprised at how none of them would stand up for what was right until they realized that Miles was, you know, not going to be able to bankroll them anymore.
Well, I think that's sort of the, like, an indictment of that character.
Yeah.
Like, those characters.
Yeah.
I think that's meant to be, like, you know, the final sort of indictment of them. Like, because they're not, none of them are portrayed as being good people, you know?
No, yeah, exactly. They're all, like, ambitious, looking out for themselves kind of people, yeah. Besides the scientist guy, really.
Well, he was willing to, because he was not happy with Miles going ahead with the fuel source, and he was willing to, like, look the other way and sign off on it, despite that.
True. Yeah, that's true.
And also, so this is like, I normally don't get into this, but something that's been kind of bothering me is like a plot hole. Why did, like, Miles not suspect Cassandra from the beginning, or like who he thinks is Cassandra, because he killed her?
Right.
So, like, was he thinking that she somehow failed? Like, that he had somehow failed?
Yeah.
And she was coming back for revenge?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and that's why he was so, like, put off about why she was there. I think because, so we find out that Miles gave her, like, put sleeping pills in her tea or coffee, whatever she was drinking, and she ended up, like, in her car and died of carbon monoxide poisoning. So I'm wondering if he thought, like, oh, did the pills wear off and she got up out of her car, you know?
Yeah.
And then the other plot hole is if all those people went to her house, why didn't they hear her car running?
Don't know. I mean...
Anyway, yeah. One of those things.
That one's a bit more forgivable, but, like, just because of how the twist relies on the fact that you don't, like, up until the end, you don't know who did it.
Yeah.
And they still kind of want to preserve that mystery, so it's kind of weird that he doesn't, like act differently, given that he killed, Cassandra, or at least, like, oh no, she's gonna be out to kill me.
Yeah.
For revenge for trying to kill her, if he thinks it failed.
Yeah, exactly. Very interesting.
I don't know. Just a little quibble there.
A little quibble. Yeah, but I think, like, I thought it was definitely an interesting and entertaining movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like those kinds of things because there's going to be, like, some tropes in it, you know?
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was going to be, like, a, more like, and then there were none, because, like, Duke gets killed, and then, you know, you think that they killed Helen, who's acting as Cassandra. So at that point I was like, oh, is this just going to be like somebody's trying to kill all of these people and you have to figure out who before it's too late? But it ended up not being that kind of way. But so I think that, you know, it had some good, like, plot elements. You know, of course it was a lot of stereotypical characters, which is always the case, though, in these kinds of movies.
Yeah.
Which is what I like about them. It is very, like, you know, tropey, I guess, and stereotypical.
Yeah,
but
it's hearing very close to tropes, but I think it works in that.
It does. I think it works in these kinds of movies. And I always like at the end when they, you know how you said they kind of, like, over-explain things at some points, but I do like in the end in these types of movies where the detective person, or the person, you know, working with the detective, like, explains everything and you go back and see little parts of the scene that you didn't see before, you know? So I like that part where they, like, explain everything and you're like, oh, okay.
I didn't think that was the over-explanation bit. I think, like, you know, that's fine. That's part of the genre. I thought, like, where they wouldn't leave anything to memory or imagination.
Right.
Where they, like, have to say everything about, like, the consequences and, like...
Right, yes.
You know, why the
thing went up. Like, reminding the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely get that. But yeah. I thought it was good, though. I liked it. I would watch it again. I would watch a sequel or
another sequel, yeah.
Trilogy, yeah. And like you said, I like Benoit's character and all his Southernisms.
And Daniel Craig really does a good job with it, I think.
He does, absolutely.
Especially in those explanation scenes, like you were saying.
Yes, and I love that also his character has a little bit of arrogance in him. Like he says, you know, when Helen first comes to visit him, she's like, Google said that you're the world's best detective. Yeah. And you can see him kind of preening, like, yes, I am. You know, like, it's so funny.
Yeah, I think that part's funny, too, because, like, the whole reason he's involved is because she just Googled him and he was the first one to pop up, more or less.
Yeah, and he's, like, all like, you know, as a Southerner would say, tickled pink about it. Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Well, overall, I think it was a good movie. I enjoyed watching it, and I like all the subtleties and the over-exaggerated obvious things as well. I think that's what always makes a good, like, mystery genre movie, and I would definitely watch it again.
Yeah, not my favorite, but I still liked it, you know. I liked the last one better, but, you know, it's still a funny movie, still has its moments. good acting, good set design, all that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to go back and watch the first Knives Out because I honestly don't remember it that well. So it'll be a mystery to me again. That's the good thing about having a terrible movie memory is that everything is new again.
Yeah, all right. Well, if we don't have anything else, I'll take us out.
All right. That's it.
Yep. That's been our podcast, Beach View. Thanks for listening. We hope you tune in next time. Bye.
Bye.